Lately, I've been getting like tons of questions of how you can actually build an AI agentic system, an AI agent, how to use function calling, how to use tools, what is an AI agent. So today I thought I can just make this video to show you quite a simple but very powerful setup on how you can build this. And yeah, by building it, you learn a lot, right? So let me show you how I created this kind of simple basic system we're going to use today. So now we are running on the GPT-4 OpenAI API, right? So we can just say, hello, how can I assist you today? But I built a tool that is connected to Claude 3.5 that is a great coder. So now we're going to try to call up that tool to write some code for us. So I need, let's say, Python code to sort a list, right? Now the agent understands that, oh, we need to write some code. Let's call up the expert coder because 3.5 is very good at writing code. So let's use that instead, right? And you can see it returned the code from Claude 3.5. That is a bubble sort algorithm here. Perfect. Now, let's say I wanted to save this snippet. I don't want to lose it when I close the terminal, right? So, great. We can do it. Great. Can you save this code to my DB? Because I also connected Supabase to my tools, so we can save this code snippet over to Supabase, right? Okay, we use the Supabase tool, we saved it, we can go here, you can see it, great, we have it here. If you can't see it, let me do this, you can see it now, there it is, right? Perfect, okay. But there are other things we can do also. We can do, great. Can you explain the code, please? So now we're probably going to go back to the OpenAI API again. We're not going to call any tools. We're just going to use the GPT-4o to explain this. So you can see we get an explanation, the bubble sort algorithm, blah, 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 right? Okay. So we can do, good. Now let's just fetch all our DB entries. So I want to see what we have in our database. We have a tool for that, fetch from Supabase. Great. You can see our code snippet here. I don't want this anymore. Delete this. We don't need it, right? Now we're gonna delete it. You can go over here, boom, it's gone, right? So these are a very simple system, but this I think is a good introduction to how tool calling work, how function calling work, how you can create your own simple agent, right? We can even try to string a couple things together here. Let me see if that works. I haven't optimized for it, but let's try it. So we can do like first write a Python code to add two integers, then save it to my Supabase DB. I haven't optimized for this, so I'm not 100% it's gonna work, but yeah, you can see it worked. First, the agent understood, okay, we need to write a code first, and then we need to save it. So now you can see we got it here, perfect. So that is what we are going to dive a bit into today, and hopefully after this video, you kind of understand how you can create your own agentic workflows by using function calling, tools, agent, different APIs. So this is very in the wind right now, right? And we can start combining this with cloud computer use after a while and stuff. So yeah, let's just get into the video and learn something. Okay, so this is how I like to set up my AI agent. So you can see we have 4 components. That's the agent, the tool schema, the function, the action. So you can think of like this tool schema and the function is the one tool, one of the tools the agent can use, right? So if we look at the schema here, this is just like, I think of this like a JSON representation of the function we have available, right? So you can see the name is the same. The name of the function is getWeather. This is the getWeather function. We need a location. So this is required. For argument has to be city name, right? So this could be city San Francisco or something like that. And the description here is quite important because this is kind of the gateway to the agent to understand what this tool does, right? Because you can see in our chat completion here with the OpenAI API, we can feed in something called tools equals tools. So the tools part here is going to be the schema, not the function. Because the agent doesn't kind of understand the function, but it can understand the schema for the function or the tool. so it can call up this function here by using this schema, right? That is kind of the way I think about it. And this will, of course, lead to an action. So fetches the weather from the API on the given city name from the user's query to the OpenAI API if asked. And this if asked is important because in the system message, we're going to set this up, as you will see soon, that we're only going to call upon this tool if the user asks for the weather. We're not going to call it every single time because, yeah, that would make sense, right? So that is what's nice about this. It's that the agent or the OpenAI API understands semantically if the user wants to get some information that is better asked or answered if the agent uses a tool, right? Of course, the OpenAI API doesn't know the weather in San Francisco, but it can use this tool to find out and return that answer to the user. And the nice thing is that we can set up many tools, as you will see, and the agent can pick what tool it wants to use. So that is what's powerful about this, as you saw in the intro. But hopefully that is understandable. But now I think we're just going to head over to the code, and I'm going to dive a bit more into how I set this up. Okay, so if you look at the structure, I like to place my tools just in a folder called tools, right? And I have tools.py in this case, and I have tools schema, and I kind of have the agent here in my root. So if we start by looking at the functions we have available now, we can start here. So you can see I have added 4 different functions. The one you didn't see was the Claude poem function. This uses the Anthropic API, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, to write a short poem, if we want to do that, right? The second one you saw, that's the expert coder function. You're a world-class programmer, write clean, efficient code. So this is also using the Claude 3.5 API. And then we come kind of into our Supabase functions. So this is saved to Supabase. This is actually, yeah, doing like an entry into our database, right? We have fetch from Supabase. This is going into our DB and getting something from our table, right? And the final one is delete from Supabase based on the ID. Okay. So that is basically pretty much a simple setup. It's 120 lines with 5 different tools we can call. And we don't have to do much else here, if you ask me. This is pretty set in stone. But we need the schemas so our agent can understand this. And this is where I have my tools.py, right? Toolschema.py. So you can see we have tools equals here. But if we go to our agent now, I just want to show you. Here is where we kind of set tools equals tools. And tools is of course going to be this part, right? So here we have the schemas we looked at in the introduction. We have the function. We have the name of the function, the name of the function, right? And the description. Here we have our save to Supabase function. We have the description. So description is going to be saves a conversation entry to the Supabase database. Can either say provided content or the previous message. And we have some sub properties here. And that is going to be the role of the message sender or the content to save. If not provided, we'll save the previous message. So we could give in or kind of extra instructions here, right? If you wanted to. And we just follow up with the fetch from Supabase function and delete from Supabase. So here I specified that we need an ID, right, to delete it. So here we can't delete any entries from the Supabase database unless we say what kind of ID we want. And yeah, that is the schemas to my 5 different tools. I just want to mention that you can also put this schemas here in this part. We can remove these tools here and just have the schemas down here. But I think this looks better. So we don't have to have all of this in our kind of main code here, right? And you can see we import all our tools here. We import the tool schema, right? And that is basically it. So if we look here, available functions we have, you can see we have those 5 tools. Great. And here I wanted to mention the system message because I said in the intro this is quite important. So basically, you are a helpful AI assistant with access to the following tools. So we have the Claude Poem tool, the Coder tool. Yeah, you get that. And here I kind of describe what tools it can pick from. Writes expert level Python code, save content to database, retrieve recent entries. Right. So you can see when using tools, respond with tool name, blah, blah, blah. So here it's quite important to actually input this into the system message. So our agent kind of knows that, oh, I can use this tool to help with this, right? And other than that, you can see I selected the GPT-4o that supports function calling. And we have like yeah, it's a logic here. I don't think I'm going to go too deep into it today, but it's basically a for loop of all our tools. We have the Poem tool, we have the Coder tool, you can see we have the Supabase tool. Yeah, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this logic today, but if you want to dive deeper into this, I do have a members video where I dive a bit more into how this logic works, if you want to know that. Right, and other than that, it's a pretty clean setup because we shifted some of the tools over to some other parts of our code here. So here we're just running a true loop, as you saw in the beginning, where we can just talk to our agent. We also have a conversation history, so we get some context from previous entries. If we didn't have this, then we wouldn't be able to kind of say, explain this code, right? Because then the agent would not have that context of what it just said, right? So this is quite important too if we want to have like a consistent conversation with our data or our database stuff, right? Okay, so I just want to do a few more examples of this, but I think this is pretty self-explanatory now. What I thought was a bit hard to wrap my head around is kind of understand how the agent kind of knows that it has to call a tool instead of just answering, right? But these models has been trained to actually use function calling or tool use, so they will do this kind of automatically, and that is the big advantage. If we had to tell it to use the tool every single time, that wouldn't be that helpful. The best part is that if the agent understands, oh, here I think it's best if I use the weather tool or the coder tool, right? And another thing I wanted to mention, let's say here we can have kind of a weak model. It doesn't matter too much, right? The base model for our agentic system, as long as it supports function calling, this could be like a very cheap model. It doesn't have to be the prime top of the line foundation model, right? Because it's going to use its tool to actually assist it with doing more complex tasks. As in our case, right, we are using Claude 3.5, kind of the best coding LLM to do coding. We're not using this tool to do the coding. So here we can do like GPT-4o mini, that is very cheap, right? And if we fire this up now, right? Even though we ask, let's say, I need a PyCode to sort a list. I know GPT-4o mini would do this great, but in this case, we will call upon the expert coder. So this is going to be, instead of GPT-4o mini writing the code, this is going to be, if you go here, Claude 3.5 Sonnet writing the code. And that is a much better LLM to do coding, right? So that is the big advantage by this, along with other good advantages, right? But let me do a few more examples here, and I want to show you one more thing. Okay, so I wanted to show you how easy it is to add a new tool now to our agentic system here, right? So let's say I wanted to create a tool that can actually return a voice or like an MP3 or .wav file, like a voice text-to-speech audio generation. And for this, I thought we can use the new chat completion GPT-4o audio preview model here, right? So let's just copy this. And I like to just go to Claude. I like this. So I just usually do like docs, right? I kind of paste in the information here, right? I can just go, I need function that takes a string prompt as an argument. It returns a, we can call it .wav file, right, with the response in audio format, and saves the .wav to the folder sounds in root or something like this. And hopefully now Claude will do a function for us, right, that we can use, right? Okay, that was pretty quick. I haven't tried this, so this is a bit okay, but we need to import OpenAI, right? Path, okay. So what I want to start with, I just want to copy this function, right? So let's copy that. We can go back here. Now I want to go into tools.py, go all the way down here. Just paste it in. Okay. See, we are missing some stuff here. We need to import OpenAI. So let's see if it understands this. Okay, and base64. So cursor comes in handy here. You saw that. And that looks pretty good. Okay. And now let's create a folder here. Let's call it sounds. Okay, that should be it. Now that we have this, I just want to go to the chat here, right? I want to link up my tools, my agent, my tool schema, right? That should be enough. And now let me come up with a prompt here that kind of will give us our schema, update our system message, and then we can test this out. So I think we're just going to try. I have added a new function in tools.py. This is the generate speech function. Now I need a schema in tools schema.py and an updated system message, etc. in my agent.py. So hopefully now 3.5 will create like a new schema for us, right? So let's check this out, and hopefully it will update my agent.py. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So let me check this out. I didn't quite understand this, but let's check it out. Yeah, that looks good. And let's do the agent.py. So you can see this added a new function here, right? It added the generate speech function. We imported that and it updated our system message. Perfect. And I think that should be it, right? Let's do this too. Yeah. So let's try it now. I'm not 100% sure, but let's give it a go, right? So let's open up the terminal. So let's just go hello first, right? How can I assist you today? I need help with some Python code. How can I import a dependency? Please answer, right, in a voice speech. So let's try that. Okay, so we did call up the speech function. That's great. It's gonna take a bit time. I don't know how long, but let's see now. And hopefully this gets saved to our sounds folder now. Yes, perfect. Import dependency python.wav. Let's try to play this.
Correct. When you import a module in Python, it allows you to access the specific functions and classes defined in that module. For example, import math gives you access to mathematical functions.
Yeah, perfect. So now we kind of saw how easy it is to add new tools to this system. This doesn't really change anything else. We can still do write PyCode to sort a list, right? We're gonna call up this coder, save this code to my superdb. Still all the other stuff works, right? I want to try one more thing now. So explain this code in a voice speech to me. So hopefully now we have the context from this for the next entry. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work, but let's see now. I don't know why it saved it. That was a bit strange, but let's hear now.
That's correct. When the sort method is called on the nums list, it rearranges the elements in place in ascending order. So after executing the following code, nums, remember, are 5, 2.
Okay, I don't know, maybe I have to work a bit on that, but you get the point, right? So yeah, I think that was a successful added tool into our agentic system. So yeah, that was basically what I had today. I hope it kind of gave you some clearance around what AI agents could be, what it is, how you can use it, function calling, tool use. And of course, I think this is going to be a big thing in 2025. At least I'm going to work a lot more on this. As you saw from my previous video, we have Claude computer use now. We can start integrating tool calling into that, and there's just a bunch of stuff we can do going forward, right? So if you just want access to this code, I have put this up on my GitHub members repo if you just want to, yeah, just grab the code instead of writing it yourself or using cursor. So just become a member, follow the link in the description. Other than that, hope you learned something. This is definitely not the last video on AI agents on this channel, so give it a like and a follow if you want more of this stuff. Other than that, thank you for tuning in, thank you for the support, and hopefully we speak in a few days.